Hello everyone, it's Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo for another episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. And tonight we're giving away the Freelancer. In a few minutes, hopefully, when Ben Lesnick gives me a call. I've been waiting for him to get in touch with me today. We had a date at 4 o'clock. I guess he's a little bit busy. Lots going on there, as we know. They have some kind of minor patch coming out, but let's hold on to that for just a little bit. Let's talk about all the things that have gone on in the last week. We've had PAX Australia with the FPS demo. We've had the Gladys come out. We've had the Herald announced. The Herald brought into the pledge store for the first time LTI as a concept ship sale, which will be over on Monday morning. We've been given the Redeemer. And of course, being given the Redeemer opened up a question of what happened to all those other next generation starships? And well, I created that thread for seeing what you all thought about bringing those back in. And now with it not being on the comlink, being in general chat, and not really being in the eye of everyone that goes on to the RSI webpage, we got to 1,400 votes and over 32% of the people want one ship in particular, the Infinite Shoe Monkey Scimitar. But there are many people that still want other ships. So why did I do this? I did this because of my last interview with Ben. He called us to arms. He threw down the gauntlet and said, if you want them, get out there and campaign for them. So I created a place where you can vote. And all you have to do is create a thread for campaigning for your ship, the one that you want, and just lead them back to the vote page that I put up there. Trying to get up to 2,000 votes so they can actually see that we really, really want this. And I'm going to bring it back to Ben. In fact, tonight, I'm going to show them that we have over 1,400 votes. What do they think about it now? I'm wondering, and I'm going to put this out to you. We know that they have the Freelancer MIS, the Constellation, the M50, and I think there's another model in there. I'm not sure. There used to be a Cutlass model. What if they brought out all the models of all the ships that you could put in your hangar? And would you be interested in that? Not that that is instead of, but what if they did that now? And that was a way by seeing if you really want that ship in the game. I'm not sure if that's a good way of doing it because it means you have to put $5 into a model that's going to be in your hangar to prove that you want to spend $200 to $300 on the real ship. Well, maybe that wasn't a great idea. Tell me what you think about that. So we had the Redeemer come out, and it came out to either people that loved it or hated it or were indifferent to it. That sounds absolutely normal in this game. There are so many ship types, so many ship designs that you don't have to like everything that they put out to us. What do I think about the Redeemer? Personally, I think it's a bit more pricey than its actual value. Like, I don't believe the value of the ship equals the price that they put out there. But that's from somebody that doesn't know what the cost of all the components they're going to put on there. But as many people in my thread for that video I had put out there, this particular ship, and when I'm talking about the video I put out there, I'm talking about the last interview I did with Ben. This ship doesn't seem to have components that are higher quality or better, more expensive than the Constellation. It's a smaller ship, holds less cargo, but what are the things hidden? What things are hidden? And I'm going to ask Ben that today, again, just to see if he could explain to us what are the hidden aspects of this ship that make it more expensive. And then if he's able to convince me, I'll come back and I'll try to convince you all that this ship is worth the price. So the FPS demo came off over in PAX Australia, and it's very Rainbow Six-esque in that it is squad-based, and one shot can kill you, can maim you, can injure you, and then you're going to have to go either get cloned again, revived, or repaired. Like go and have surgery to fix your leg, or go have surgery to fix your arm. I like this idea. There were a lot of cool aspects of it that we didn't get to see, but something that's pre-alpha, I think they did a damn good job. The event itself, in watching it, this is one of the most successful ones that they've had. And I put that to you from the point of view it went off on time. They got their message out there and the demos didn't crash. That's wonderful. And even with the little skit that they did in the beginning that was awesomely cute but very awkwardly acted. I think that that was wonderful. I'm very excited after this week's ATV to see all the different gun types they have. But what was that flash of artwork that came up on there? So there's a bunch of other things that happened this past week. And, you know, from Chris being gone and 10 for the chairman turning into 10 for the writers and them answering wonderful questions, I implore each and every one of you to go out there and watch it. And if you don't want to, hopefully Wes will be back this week and give his roundup of what they talked about. It's not what I'm here about. I'm here to get you to get involved in the game, get involved with the items that they put out there. David and Will did an amazing job at that and answered a bunch of questions. And I think it's every one of our jobs that are interested in the game and want to find out more about it to get out there and watch things like this when they put them out there. For some of us, me, the lore of the game is very intriguing, which is why I try not to get so many spoilers from David Haddock when I talk to him. We hit another milestone, and that milestone was 60 million. 60 million. In fact, by the end of this weekend, we'll be at 61, which is why I bet you anything Chris pushed hard to get this letter out. So the $60 million letter gives us 2 tasks at this point. And I'm going to explain everything that went on. First off, at the end of the last letter, it seemed like the winner of the poll changed. And it changed after Chris wrote his letter. So they brought in one of the ships, and I think that ship was actually the Aegis Bulldog class twin-engine fighter. And then one of the other 2 actually came in and won. And people were a little bit like agitated, saying, hey, but this ship won, this one didn't. So they clarified how they picked the winner. It's the winner picked when they see the $60 million ticker go off. And that's how they did it. But they caved in to what we asked for because you know what? This is kind of a democracy here. It's a game by the people for the people, right? Well, that sounds more like communism. But this is something that they caved in and said, you know what, we're going to give you both. So they're going to give us the passenger liner with this one, and they're going to give us the boarding ship with this one. And they're going to be made by 2 unique companies. So I talked about the Aegis Bulldog fighter the last time. It's going to be a kick-ass fighter, new design from Aegis Dynamics. It's only been out for a little while, and it's already tearing up the skies and getting a lot of love from the different fighter pilots and different stations that are using them. This time we're going to get ships that are built for specific tasks and are made by niche manufacturers. We're going to get the Aspera Prowler. Just knowing that they have a ship named the Prowler, I want it, but I don't know how badly I do. The Prowler is based on a design from the first Tavarian War, or Tavaran, not Tavarian, Tavaran War. And it's a ship that's meant to board other ships. So this thing is going to be pretty cool, and you'll be able to read about it here. Go out to the letter for the chairman and read all about it because there's a lot. And the next thing is the Genesis class Starfighter. Starliner. So these 2 ships are going to be by 2 completely different manufacturers that we haven't seen before. And we're going to be able to unlock these and get them to start development on them at $61 million. Now, for the $62 million stretch goal, they really dug deep for this one. And it brought back one of the ones I really wanted to get made. And at this particular point, it's leading the pack. But because I wanted to support somebody else's endeavor, which was to get the search and rescue ship made, I went out there and voted for that one, knowing that most likely the one I wanted to get made was going to get made. So what am I talking about? Well, they brought back all the ships that had already been voted off the island, okay? And that means that now we're voting for search and rescue ship, mine layer minesweeper, salvage tug, recon craft, and 3rd starter ship. I really think there should be a 3rd starter ship. It needs to be called the Buccaneer and needs to be made by Drake. Do you hear me, Ben? This is Nikki speaking. You talked about the Buccaneer. It needs to be lightweight, really fast, and cheap. And be for pirates that are starting off. I know some of you said you could use any ship to be a pirate ship. That's not true. Drake makes the pirate ships, and they are perfect for pirates because they're cheap, easy to replace, easy to maintain, and fall apart anytime they're hit by a rock. I like that. So I can't wait to see who's going to win this one. So far, the third starter is winning at 31%, Reconcraft 23%, 14% for the salvage tug, 15% for the mine layer minesweeper, and 17% for the search and rescue ship, which they're going to have to make no matter what, right? It's going to be something that's going to be needed in the game, and at some point they're going to have it in. But it's probably going to be more or less closer to Squadron 42, or even more so the Persistent Universe. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of search and rescue craft inside of Squadron 42, because in Starlancer and other games that Chris has put out, there's always been a ship that goes out there and picks you up after you fail in a mission and die. That's going to be cool, right? I said there was a lot that went on last week, and a lot of that had to do with me, okay? Had a long weekend, had a friend that just became a U.S. citizen, talked about that in a couple of videos. We reached 1,500 subscribers, and in less than a week, we've gone to 1,600. So here I am with this Drive to 2K contest, which I've made simpler and easier for you all to enter. 1 share, that's all you got to do. 1 share per episode, not 3. Send them to me at theaddictedgamer@gmail.com. Yes, for those of you that didn't understand the last time, screenshot it. And if you don't know how to screenshot on your PC or Mac, just Google it. On the Mac, it's Shift Command 4, and then it gives you a crosshair, and you drag it to what you want to screen capture, and you let go. On the PC, I think it's print screen or F12, but there's a lot of free applications like Fraps that let you do things better, or OBS. Okay, and send me those pictures to me at theaddictedgamer@gmail.com, and I'll get you entered. Second way to enter that contest is very simple, and it's for additional entries. You're going to get 1 additional entry over the course of the whole contest for submitting a confession of a Star Citizen addict over at starcitizenaa.com, and inside the forums, inside the Confession of a Star Citizen Addict thread. That's the contest, and the prize is the Redeemer LTI ship, not package. Like this time we're giving away the Freelancer MIS package. Next time we're giving away an LTI ship. Why not a package? Well, this is the most expensive giveaway I've had yet. All right, and now on my way out, because this is sad for me, because when I became a citizen, became a backer, it was Eric Wingman Peterson that I watched every single week and loved watching. I longed to see him, and he was one of my favorite interviews on this show. I support Eric wholly, and I understand what happened and why he left. Let me explain that a little bit, and I'm going to try to have Ben chime in on that a little bit later. The game got big, and big meant it was going to need a lot more assets, and they needed to move the pipeline into Santa Monica. This happened because the contract is up with CGBot now. So everything that CGBot did is now being done by Cloud Imperium Games themselves inside of Santa Monica and some other studios. Chris wants his team leads near him. He wants to get things done in a timely manner, not get on an airplane and fly to them. Eric was one of the most important one of his team leads, along with his brother and Rob and some other people. But Eric's job was moving to Santa Monica. So Eric had to leave the company because he wasn't going to leave Austin, Texas. So Eric is now no longer part of CIG. He's still a big supporter of the company, still a big supporter of the game, but he's going off to start his own endeavor, along with that wonderful man, Michael Moreland, that I've been helping out on his show by giving him content every week that he had it. Now, Michael's on his way off to Jakarta, Indonesia, I think, and he's going to be setting up a studio out there for somebody. And then he's going to come back, and in the early part of next year, he and Eric are going to work out what they're going to start doing. And along the lines of a video. I promise them whatever they need, I'm going to be there for them. And if it means that I get to put content in for them and cover their wonderful new game, which we will talk about in a separate video, I'll be doing that. And I'll be following them along their way and hoping to bring them as much support as I can. Anybody that had to do with this game is still pretty much supporting it. And because they're gone doesn't mean that the game is going to fail, and it doesn't mean that there's bad blood between them. We wish Eric and Michael and Chris Olivia and everybody else that's left CIG the best of luck, and we also pray and are supporting Cloud Imperium Games and Star Citizen fully. When I say we, I mean me, because I don't have full staff members yet, but I had a lot of you that answered my call for help. We will be getting to that very soon. I'll be contacting each and every one of you next week. I think that's where we're at. And at some point in this, I'm going to go like this and say, and here's Ben with the winner of the Freelancer MIS contest. Hello, everyone. This is the part of today's show where I get to talk to Ben Lesnick. And before I bring him on to congratulate the winner, whoever that might be, of today's contest, well, of the Drive to 1,500 subscriber contest, I'm going to take the time to ask Ben 3 questions. So, Ben, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. The first question I'm going to ask you about was brought to my attention by the people that, well, it's the most frequently asked question from the last interview we did. On paper, it seems like the Constellation has specs that have much more value than the Redeemer, but yet the Redeemer costs more in US dollars than the Constellation. Now, my thought process here is that it's still a pledge, and the actual value of the ship will be determined in game. But people would like to know, like, what are the hidden pieces of the value of that ship?
Well, I'm not sure there's anything necessarily hidden about the Redeemer. It's just a much more focused fighting ship than the Constellation is. The idea behind the Constellation is you can take it in all sorts of directions. It's a fantastic explorer. It's a freighter. You can equip it for combat. It does lots of things very well. The idea behind the Redeemer is that it does one thing very, very well. As for the cost, it's calculated by looking at all the components, their qualities. We would take into account a number of stats that aren't necessarily published yet, such as armor, maneuverability, that sort of thing. But also just kind of role in general. The boarding ship aspect is important, as is the overall rarity, the materials that go into its production in the finished game economy. I think, unfortunately, we're going to be seeing this with every single ship we put out going forward. People are going to try to second guess, oh, this should be more expensive, this should be less expensive.
Right.
The process is the same process we apply to every ship. And hopefully people can see from things like the Drake Herald that our goal is not to come up with the most expensive possible ship each time. It's just to place it in the pantheon, as it were.
Okay. And for me, it's a ship with a very unique role that's not handled by many other ships. So that's why I saw the value in it for myself.
Yeah, and honestly, if it's not something that appeals to someone, don't buy it. There's no need to have every ship. If you look at this ship and you say these stats aren't worth it to me, that's why we publish the stats. Right. Make your own decision.
Now, something that I think is true, the ship prices, once the game goes live, are going to fluctuate by supply and demand, right?
Absolutely. They're all going to be tied right into the game economy. So okay. If they need plutonium and I think I made that element up, to produce a particular ship, and they're not getting it, it's going to be rare. Right. It's not going to be a set value for every ship.
Okay. Second question is my question. You know, the last time we spoke, you kind of threw down the gauntlet and said, you know, if you guys want one of these TNGS, I hate saying TNGS ships because that's like being redundant, but if you want one of the TNGSs in the game, campaign for it. So I created the thread. I sent you there the other day. We've now got almost 1,500 replies in the course of, I think it's a little bit over 48 hours. Does it make you, I mean, there's two things to look at there. One is, do you think there's enough I don't have access to the comlink. Do you think there's enough traction there to, raise an eyebrow?
Absolutely. I mean, the next step is I'm going to go to our leads meeting on Monday. We're going to hit the community point. And they're going to say, what are people in the community talking about? And that'll be one of my points. People are telling us they want the other TNGS ships. We should investigate this further. So that's next step.
Okay. Did you like my idea about possibly producing the in-game models that people could buy and put in their hangar?
I did.
That's a good idea, right? Because if you want, I think this is something that Richard Garriott said he did when we were at Dragon Con. If you really want it, put your money up and show me. And if it's only $5, buy a model of the ship that you want. If you guys could create that, if you could do it, the models are already in the CryEngine. It wouldn't be much to put them into the game, and let people determine what they want to do at that point. Which ship should we get by putting their money up? So you've got two choices there. So I like that. So the third question, Ben, what was the third question I was going to ask? It had
Bulldog.
What? The Bulldog. Yes, that's right. Somebody, and then a lot of people jumped in on that question. Now that the Bulldog is actually one of the ships that has been selected that we're going for at this point, well, actually, that's not one that we're going for. We just unlocked that. Can you give a little bit more insight on what the Bulldog is?
Absolutely. So in the traditional wing commander sense, you have light fighter, medium, heavy fighter. Light fighter has fewer guns, heavy fighter has more weapons, more armor, but it's slower. Light fighter has fewer guns, it's faster, that sort of thing. That's an interesting system, and it's one we've certainly all had in our head this whole time, but it doesn't necessarily match any reality with how military aircraft or weapons work. So we decided to kind of look back at other aspects of historical fighters. Specifically, we looked at interceptors for the Gladys, the idea of dedicated bomber hunters. And then another kind of historical niche is during World War II, you would have typical pursuit planes, and then you would have like twin engine fighters like the P-38 or the Messerschmitt 110.
Well, this sounds more like a P-63 Black Widow.
Yes, P-61.
P-61,
Widow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
P-63
exactly.
was something else. Yeah.
That's P-63 was the Air Cobra.
Air Cobra,
rear door.
Yep.
So we wanted to figure out what would the Star Citizen equivalent be of one of these. What is Star Citizen's night fighter? And we came up with the idea of a deep space fighter. So they're ground-based spacecraft rather than carrier-based. They have more redundant systems. They're a little bit slower, a little bit less maneuverable, but they carry the equipment for long-range missions. They have kind of larger bore weapons, and that was our inspiration going into the Bulldog. Also, just the idea of being able to equip special equipment. I think especially of the German night fighters that would have the radar things in their nose on occasion, or you'd have an extra cannon there, or they'd fill them with explosives and they would use them to ram bombers. All sorts of ways to take that.
Okay. So I hate that when we talk, you're in you're in a rush. I'm holding up your meeting. How does this fit into the same section as the Lightning? The Lightning's the new heavy fighter, but this is a brand new fighter too. How do they differentiate?
So the Lightning is our F-22. It's what back in the Wing Commander development days you'd call the reward fighter. You play through Squadron 42, missions get progressively harder, get a little bit tougher, and eventually you get this just awesome ship. And it's, in terms of the universe, it's the most expensive ship UE buys. It's for their ace of ace pilots, for their top secret missions, that sort of thing.
But it's not something we'll be able to buy.
It's not something that's going to be readily available in the persistent universe. Okay. But as with everything, it will be out there. It's just you don't go to the local airport and buy an F-22.
Okay.
The Bulldog heavy fighter, Bulldog deep space fighter is also a kind of heavy fighter traditionally, but it's not the same great at everything, super expensive government black project sort of a deal.
Okay. Now I'm gonna beg you for something on camera before we hit the button and say, pick a random name over here. Now you're watching me, which is why I have you on camera. Okay. So the big thing here is now that we see 10,000 votes in on the current poll that you have in the letter from the chairman, and it seems like the new starter ship is running away with it.
Yeah, we were surprised.
Are you please going to just call it the Drake Buccaneer for me?
Well, I don't get to
I know, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
My best.
Okay, all right. So we're going to pick the drive to 1,500, subscriber, and I have to apologize to you. I'd never thought that I'd be going as quickly as I am. I've reached 1,600. I probably should have made the next mark 2,500 for the Redeemer. I'll probably be at 2,000 by the end of next week, the way things are going. So
That's
we're
awesome.
going to...
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you, but I'd like to give away things in a more, spread out manner. All right, so we're going to pick the name here, and there will be a drum roll because I now have something when I could put this on camera. So we're going to do it, and we'll leave an empty space here for the drum roll. And the winner is Sam, Sammy. So, Sam, you're going to get me your information, which I need your email address and your in-game handle. Right, the handle, or is it the other thing that they have to give me?
Handle will do it.
And the handle. And Ben will make sure that ship, the Freelancer MIS package, one of those two, you'll know by what Ben puts in your hangar. And that will be in your hangar probably by the middle of next week. Thank you so much. Ben, thank you. Get your busy schedule. Get your meeting. Thank you.
Right.
I'll talk to you again next week. You have a great day.
Cool, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, congratulations to our winner, which I don't know who it is yet because I'm recording it before what I actually put up here. But congratulations, and remember, get me your email address. And if you feel like giving me your in-game name, it only helps. But it definitely would be hugely helpful if you do that, so please do. So email me at theaddictedgamer@gmail.com. Get me your in-game name, and I will get it to Ben, and he will put that ship in your hangar. Well, folks, that's where we're at today. We're going to call this one quits. We're going to have a much more in-depth episode on Tuesday, coming out on Wednesday, I promise you. And hopefully, Ben answered more than just one question tonight. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you real soon.